Greetings and salutations, Interdistance. This is Wolfotech, and here we go with a fun little unboxing overview review of these delightful monster cards for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, CR levels 0 to 5. The previous video is mostly everything under CR 0, animals, and NPCs. This is the big boys and girls and things that go bump in the night. These decks are manufactured or produced by Gale Force 9. There are two in this one. There are two small decks of the regular sized playing cards. And then there is one giganto deck. No, don't mind me, I just ate, and I got mild food allergies. But anyways, got large deck, got small decks. Small decks are roughly the size, the large deck is roughly the size of two small decks next to each other. Now onto the cards. Yes, onto the cards. I'm going to only show off some of these cards, not all of them. They come in a little plastic sleeve. It's actually shrink wrapped on. There's a pull, one of those pull tabs you pull off to get the cards out. I usually like to keep the bottom half because it keeps the cards together nicely. This is an 5th edition Aarakocra. This is older Monster Manual variant of it. On the back side, you'll have the basic stats. There's no flavor text or anything about it. No lore whatsoever. On the front of the card, there'll oftentimes be the name, but also the artist under it. On the back side of the card, you'll have challenge rating, which is actually, interestingly enough, below CR0, and the XP. And on the top, there'll be a name, along with the classification and alignment, typical alignment for them. These cards are actually quite good for building encounters. If you say have like air elementals and then maybe an Aarakocra or two in the situation as a game master or dungeon master, you could like get out the Aarakocra card, set it down, get a piece of paper out, write down all the variables for the multiple Aarakocra. You get the other cards out, like a flying sword. Got some flying swords in the situation. You could get that card out. You can set that down. Get another sheet of paper. Write down the basic variables like initiative, how much HP each one has, etc., etc. So that is the big bonus of these. The advantage of using these cards over the book is that you can easily lay these out and you don't have to flip between pages. However, you do not have any of the lore or anything. So this is the animated armor. You got all their basic information. It is most of the time very accurate. There's an occasional error, like they'll put the page number wrong on the card, so you're gonna have to like flip a page here and there. So starting from Aarakocra with the artwork, animated armor, animated sword, Enkig, Azer, Basilisk, Needle Blight, Twig Blight, Vine Blight, Bugbear, Bugbear Chief, Bullet, Bullywug, Carrion Crawler, Centaur, Cockatrice, Crawling Claw. And what's really nice about these cards is that's a Dretch. Nice about these cards is they have nice artwork on the front. Some of these decks are lacking in artwork. see each one of those videos. I will actually I'll make a point. Any video where there's a lack of art for the creatures or missing details that are really obvious and important, I will point it out in those videos. Alamir, he's so hideous. I would most definitely love to do a French accent for Lemurs. That is so fun, you know. They go to the players go to the 9 hells, they start dealing with Lemurs, and all of them speak in French accents. Earth Elemental, a Drow, the Etin, a Shrieker Mushroom, Violet Fungus, or Violent Fungus, because they do get violent, Gargoyle, Aghast. Here's one of those instances where they use the same artwork for 2 different creatures, which is actually kind of sad whenever that happens. But they, in this deck, they pretty much stay away from that. Overall, you don't see a whole lot of, oops, same artwork for multiple creatures. They usually put some effort into like picking a piece of artwork out of a book page or a module or some early module for the creature. Goblin, Goblin Boss, a Gorgon, a Gugon, a Grell, a Grick, a Griffon, a Grimlock, which is actually a variant of human and that's been trapped in caves too long. Hellhound. By the way, Grimlocks, the fact that they lose their eyes and they're actually more gray pale tone is actually more accurate to creatures that live underground, as opposed to the whole weird thing where dark elves and Drugar are dark-skinned. Helmed Horror, Hippogriff, Hobgoblin, classic style, Hobgoblin Captain. I love the fact that they chose to give him nice red armor and use different artwork for Hobgoblin Captain. A Homunculus, your little friend, Hooked Horror. Seth Sarkowski, paint your Hooked Horror. Go to Seth Sarkowski's channel, link him to this video, and tell him, paint your Hook Horror. Kinku, Winged Kobold, or also known as an Erd Kobold. URD, Kobold. Elamia. It's actually Lamia. And then, instead of going through the second deck, obviously you can see the lizard folk there. There's that. I'm going to go over to the big cards and show you the front and back of a few of them. That way you get an idea. The big cards are oftentimes horizontal landscape setup, with a few exceptions. On the back side of the card, it's actually split as if it is 2 cards next to each other. The information continues down one side and starts on the other. Same standard situation. Creature challenge rating, or the CR, as well as the experience. The CR is quasi-accurate if you play just stripped down core rules Dungeons & Dragons. If you don't play stripped down core rules Dungeons & Dragons, the challenge rating gets wonky. And just for future reference, when we talk about stripped down core rules Dungeons & Dragons, we're talking about Dungeons & Dragons minus variant rules. And Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition minus variant rules is no multi-classing, no feats, etc., etc. So, Yet again, a spectator. The back side of the spectator's card. You got a Cambrian. Or a Cambion. It's actually Cambion. Sometimes I'll mispronounce its names. A Cruel. A Cruel. This kind of reminds me of an incident I had with my Artificer while I was playing in someone else's game. They actually managed to paralyze my Artificer in combat. I'm not joking. He was paralyzed and restrained, and the DM could still not hit my Artificer. It was hilarious and fun. It turned into it's now a meme that my DM in the current campaign literally has to make deals with demons and tag team my characters just to hit them. I'm actually a good optimizer when I really want to make a character that's optimized. My specialty is defense. Typically, I just naturally make really good defensive characters that have extremely few weaknesses. A Barbed Devil. As you can see, almost all these cards have the artwork for the monster and Dryad. It's actually pretty good artwork, and whenever possible, if there wasn't any artwork obviously contributed to the creature, they got some new artwork or picked out some artwork from one of the earlier books for it. Or got something as close as they can and to be appropriate for it. You got yourself a Fere Dragon. A Flaming Skull. A Flump. Gas Spore. A Ghost. A Gibbering Mouther. A Flesh Golem. A Green Hag. A Night Hag. A Sea Hag. A Hopper. Intellect Devourer. Jackalware. Kuatoa. Kuatoa Whip. Which he's not holding a whip. And then Lizardfolk Shaman. Werebear. Wereboar. Were-rat. Were-tiger. Werewolf. Mimic. And so forth. And it just keeps going. And pretty much they don't have any placeholder art. They just have mostly all the good artwork from the books. A Revenant. Scarecrow. A Shadow. That's absolutely terrifying scene. A Shambling Mound. A Slod. A Spectre. Succubus and Incubus. Umbra Hulk. Vampire Spawn. A White. I'm actually thinking of including what's all in the deck. Will-O-Wisp. A Wraith. A Yeti. A Yanti Mai. A Yanti Malsoon. I actually should try to read them off the back of the card. That's another one that's listed as a Malsoon. And there you got it. There's a Got an irregularity right there. Those are actually different monsters, but they have the same name attached to them. One of those occasional oops, errors, they screwed up. Yeah, the deck is overall a pretty good deck, except for the fact that you will occasionally have, like, wait a minute, they got the wrong name on the card, or they got the wrong page number, or stuff like that. Typically, it's nothing terribly super major of an issue. It's just an annoying inconvenience most of the time. Overall, for game masters wanting dungeon masters who wanting to run Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition more efficiently, these game cards are a path to being more efficient. If you don't want to use online tools, these do help out great a bit to speed your game along. So there you go. I would give this deck, if they got rid of all the little nitpick errors, and they made sure that the one or two times they did reuse the artwork, which is extremely few times in this deck, it would be like a 4-star. It would be a 4-star, but it's only like a 3.5 star. Because the little errors are just a little annoying errors that it knocks it down. It wastes your time just ever so slightly, but it's nothing that's so major of an error that actually like invalidates the value of the card entirely. It just isn't a good thing. So yeah, I give this deck a 3.5 overall. It has nice basic artwork from the Monster Manual and the first few books, such as the Dungeon Master's Guide or the Player's Handbook or stuff like that. And the first few books, produced in 2018, these retail in the United States for $24.99, $33.99. They sell for a lot cheaper on Amazon than this, and they probably sell a lot cheaper in stores now too. So I say, if you're a dungeon master and you don't want to use online tools, these are actually a pretty good aid for speeding along your games. I would recommend these. However, if Wizards of the Coast, when Wizards of the Coast comes out with Dungeons & Dragons 5.5 or 5.25 or 5.75 or Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, I'm betting on them coming out with it and calling it Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Next. Because they like to go back to the term next whenever possible. So, there you go. It's a nice chunky deck. It's 179 durable laminated cards for a range of deadly monsters of challenge rating 0, actually just below 0 as well, up to 5, with game statistics on one side and invocative art on the other side. Perfect tool for help dungeon masters manage and reference their menagerie during play. And I do agree. These decks do help out in gameplay a lot. They really do speed along your games. There's a few cards I'm going to have to pull out of these decks, and throw together some sheets very shortly, because I have a game later today, on the day of recording this, that I have to run, and it just happens to have a bunch of the creatures in this deck for that. So, thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe, and leave a comment in the comments below. Have a delightful day, a nice night, and a wonderful week, and a magnificent month, and see you next time.